part of this century, a coal mine was opened in the Castlecomer area near Kilkenny. At its peak, it gave jobs to 1,000 people and produced about 160,000 tons of anthracite coal every year. But then things went bad, and the people who were looked upon as Bolsheviks and all sorts of rebels bent on the destruction of Castlecomer, the Catholic Church, Ireland, etc., found themselves out of a job. But here, still in the Castlecomer area, in a remote field, a remarkable thing is going on, because 3 men have sunk a 40-foot shaft, and now they're taking coal out of it the hard way, day, by hand. John, can I interrupt the good work? What an extraordinary contraption. Your engine, actually, and I'm sure that's seen better times in another place.
Oh, it has, yeah. That was belonged to a Cortina.
A Cortina?
About 1972, Cortina crashed one.
And so you decided to use it as your hauling equipment?
Yeah, well, we worked for about 3 or 4 months. We worked by hand. We actually wound the boxes up by hand, you know.
What, hold it up?
Yeah.
Just pulling it through?
Yeah, well, it wasn't so deep then. We were just sinking the mine, you know. It was maybe 20 feet deep.
Now, is there any danger attached to this machinery and its use?
Oh, there is, yeah. You could get wound into the gears, you could. If something broke there, it could fall back in someone. But
tell me, how much petrol would you use in a week with this hauling equipment?
4 or 5 gallons.
That would be as
economical.
Much? Economical, is right.
Yeah.
Well, now, let me ask you about this. We are in a fairly remote field. How did you know that there was coal down here?
Well, I didn't actually know. It was my brother, Peter. He's the coal bug. He chases it all over. He had maps and all the data concerning the coal fields.
Well, Peter, to me, that's an awfully deep hole. What is it, 40 feet down?
Yeah, 40 feet.
I understand that you dug that out personally.
Yes. There was no other way of getting it out. There was no other way, only just, as I said, when you have no money, you have to do it. You can employ no one else to do it, or you can't employ the equipment for to do it. So
well, how did you get the hundreds of tons of stuff that must have come out of that? How did you get it up?
You fill it into this bucket, 500 liters at a time, and you haul it to the bank. You heel it out, and you go back down again.
And what kind of implements were you working with?
Well, just a shovel and an ordinary pick.
And then you came out and pulled it out by hand, by rope?
Yeah.
How long back in your family does mining go as a tradition?
Hundreds of years. My grandfather worked in the north of England in coal mines 100 years ago.
And you worked in the local coal mines?
Yeah, every one of them.
Why did you choose this particular spot and, let's say, not 50 yards north, east, west or south of it?
Well, from the money I had, I knew that we had to hit the coal at 40 to 50 feet because we wouldn't have any more money to go any further. So we knew that the coal was deep in 1 in 40. So this was the spot that we could hit at that depth.
Peter, how did you and the other two get the money, actually, just to There must be thousands of pounds involved in this much. How did you get that money together?
Well, we saved up for a long, long time for the start of this venture. We had one chance to, if we got the call, if not, we'd be saving up for another 4 or 5 years, even to go this far.
Now, the coal that you bring up, and there's a great bucket of it behind you, how exactly do you sell that?
It's just broke and screened, and the people come here and buy it. We could sell 100 ton a day if we had it.
How many tons a day actually are you bringing up?
We're only bringing up about a ton a day.
If you had more money and more people, what could you expand your tonnage, your daily tonnage to?
About 40 ton a week at the beginning, like.
Now, the people who come here to the pithead and buy from you, how much a ton do they pay for it?
£70 a ton.
Does that burn in cookers and does it burn in the open grate?
It burns in anything. Cokers are open grates. The government has proved that marginal reserves of coal, which is a foot high, they have 13 million tonnes in this area. They have just 20 million tonnes out of it. That's proved since 1961.
Well, Pierce, I believe you were the first man to buy a bag of coal here at the pithead.
Yes.
When was that?
Well, I'm not really sure now because it could be back, well, it's over a year ago anyways, a year and a half.
How did you know that the lads actually were mining here?
Well, I met him in a conversation and I heard it going about.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a Castlecomer coal was good and Skahana coal was good. It couldn't be bad here, no sulphur, no nothing. It's perfect.
So what did you do? You got in the car and came along one
I
day?
took my car and took away 200. I have 200 there now going
Yeah.
away. And I found it perfect.
Well, there you are, the story of 3 people with an indomitable will to survive in an area where other people said coal was dead. Just before leaving, one last thing. I've got in my hands here a little letter from the National Coal Board Scottish South area, who did a test on the anthracite here. And what they came up with was that the anthracite is about the 2nd best quality in all of Europe. It makes one wonder what the government should be doing about Castlecomer.